You are now listening to the A2j2 podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the A2j2 podcast. Guys, it's been a hot minute. We haven't released an episode in almost a month. We do have an unreleased episode, but due to reasons that I will discuss here in a bit, it's been a while since we've been able to get together and do this and release some content, so I'm glad to be back. It's a beautiful time to be doing this because football season is right around the corner.
Oh, man, I can't wait.
Oh, God. For today, 50 days from today, the NFL season will kick off. And before then, we will have college football. So it's about to be the best time of the year.
Let's do the damn thing. I'm ready.
So in the spirit of that, we're going to start today's episode by breaking down our top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. ESPN released their top quarterbacks this week with the Madden ratings coming out. They haven't released the quarterback ratings yet, but you can look them up. I'm just going to go ahead and say Jalen Hurts as an 87 is ridiculous and stupid and makes me really angry, but I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But in the spirit of that, we're going to give our top 5 quarterbacks. So starting at the bottom of our lists, I had a really hard time with this. So we discussed this in pre-show. I feel like I need to give an honorable mention to the other two that I did not include. I was stuck, and the two guys that ended up being left off my list were Trevor Lawrence and Lamar Jackson. Lamar could very well make his way back into this top 5 if he can stay healthy this season. He's dynamic. But those guys were just off my list. But at number 5, I have Justin Herbert. Some people say, he's a social media quarterback. He hasn't won any playoff games, but he's very impressive. He's getting another weapon in Quentin Johnston. I think he's going to have a great season, and I have him at the bottom of my top 5.
So the 3 that I kind of put in there for my top or my 5th position is the same as yours, but my honorable mentions are Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, for me, just hasn't proven enough quite yet. Whereas, Lamar Jackson is a former MVP. So for me, he's number 5. And the main reason he's number 5 for me is pure talent alone. I think out of everybody on the top 5, Lamar Jackson's skill set is right up there with Patrick Mahomes. And if he can stay healthy, he can stay on the field. And honestly, the Ravens just need to get him some weapons because he's done all this without many weapons around him.
And he does have Odell and Zay Flowers.
He does now, so we're really going to see. And I think we're going to see a big season out of him because I think he would have come back last season had they, worked out a contract, but they didn't. He said he was sitting out due to injury. I don't personally really believe that. I think this season's a big year for Lamar Jackson. I think he's going to show out. I've got him as my number 5.
List very similar. My honorable mention, too, that I didn't get to put on my list would be Lamar and Lawrence. I feel like Lawrence is really coming into age as a quarterback. Like, he's real top tier at, analyzing the field. He was set back by Urban Meyer, but, that whole franchise was set back by having Urban Meyer there for a year. We were all set back just because we had to live with jokes of him for a whole year. But then I got Lamar at, as you just said, everything above MVP talent. I just have him just off the list, and I think these top 5 are a little better. My number 5 is Josh Allen. I think he still has some inconsistencies, and that's why I don't have him higher up the list. I think his physical capabilities are probably some of the highest on the list. Great runner, great thrower. He's got one of the deepest arms in the league. That's not his issue. I think he's just got some minor humps to get over, and then he'll be up in the top echelon of this top 5.
He's also very turnover prone. He takes a lot. He takes a lot of chances, and you can't ever argue that he doesn't have weapons because he does. He does. Out of everybody on this list, he might have the most.
And he's added another one, Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah,
it's mental setback. I think it's the same thing that's held back, kind of like Dak over the years. He's just gotten worse and worse on turnovers, but Dak has the ability and can get it done. Just the fact that I think he's got
Dak
mental.
doesn't have the abilities that Josh Allen has.
No, absolutely not. He does not have anywhere close to the arm talent, but he's got the mental capabilities to lead a team. It's just
for sure
spotty on coverage.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, I've got the same as Jordan on this one. I've got Lamar Jackson. I think he's going to have a huge year. It's unfortunate that he wasn't able to last year. So I think he's gonna play really well this year. Back in the day, what year was it when him and Mahomes went at it? It seemed like they were both just.
That was his MVP year.
That was
wasn't
his MVP year. So yeah.
I can't remember
I don't
what
know.
year it was,
it? It was
but
2020.
18 or 19 or something
Was
like
it
that.
19? I think it was 19.
19.
I don't know. I felt like he was going to have a big year this year, and I'm looking forward to seeing him out there and seeing what he can do. So he's my number 5.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't take anything away from Lamar Jackson. I have Zay Flowers winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year because I think that he's going to be an excellent weapon for Lamar. And, he could very well be in that 5 spot at the end of the year. We can revisit this. But as of right now, availability being what it is, I have Herbert at my 5. At 4, I have Josh Allen. The only reason I did, I tinkered with the idea of putting Josh Allen at 5 and Herbert at 4. But like we said, Josh Allen has proven more than Justin Herbert has. He's won a playoff game. He was that game between them and the Chiefs the year before was just absolute mayhem.
And it wasn't 0% his fault that they lost.
No, 0% his fault. The defense completely fumbled the bag. He did everything he could, didn't get the ball in overtime. But he did have a big turnover problem last year. There's been some discussion whether or not there's, trouble in paradise with him and Diggs. I think that'll be fine, and it's worked out. Diggs says that it's not a big deal. A lot of people have him in the top 3, if not number 2. But I could not put him in my top 3 just because of, he has failed to even get to the big game. And his turnover issues last year were definitely a concern because it's something that they definitely drill into the ground. I hate the Cowboys, but they drill it into the ground with Dak. And I realize he played less games, but they don't quite get on Josh Allen quite as much for the turnover.
They really don't.
That's why he sits at 4.
I mean, I completely agree with you. They really don't get onto him. I mean, Dak Prescott throws 2 interceptions in a game. It doesn't matter if he throws 4 touchdowns. They're all about the interceptions. I feel like Josh Allen needs a little more publicity when it comes to that. All right, don't shoot me over this. My number 4 is Jalen Hurts. Here's why. It's not. No, it's not. It's not talent. This is what, his fourth year as a starter coming in. This is going to be his 3rd year. It's just there's not enough time frame. I just don't know. I mean, we saw RG3 come in and have a couple of huge years. We saw all these just guys who had 1 or 2 big years. I just need to see a longer, more consistent. Yeah, I need to see a bigger sample size of it from him. This last year from him, if he wouldn't have gotten hurt towards the end of the season, he probably would have won MVP. He was up there. I mean, that's just the truth. He was outstanding. If he does it again next year, he's probably going to jump into my top 2. Honestly, probably going to jump into my top 2. But it's all the recency bias of what happened last year with Jalen Hurts. He carried the team to the Super Bowl. All props to him. If he does it again one more year, that's when I'm going to be sold on him above Josh Allen. But as of right now, it's just the sample size. So I have Jalen Hurts at 4.
To comment on recency bias, I feel like that's the concept of my whole list. I'm my number 4. I'm keeping off some certain players that have been great for a long time, and it's just because I feel like they're getting old. This is recency bias. That's what this list is. It's if I had a gun to my head, who am I putting at my quarterback out of these options? What am I doing in this order? So my number 4 is Herbert. I know you didn't keep him on your list and you put him at 5. I think he shows more drive than most of the quarterbacks that you'll see in his age group too. He had that rib injury and he still went on for 303 touchdowns. That's disgusting. And everybody was hurt on his team. So I know you're saying he didn't get to those points. He hasn't won a playoff game. He hasn't done this, hasn't done that. I understand that, but I mean, he has dealt with injuries on every level of his team throughout his whole season and his whole career. You have coaching staff that played Mike Williams on a games week. Was it week 18?
Yeah,
it didn't matter, and they played him. He got hurt. They didn't get him for the playoff game. It's just he's had outside reasons. I mean, I guess you could say that for every quarterback. They've all had some kind of situation like that. But if I had to pick, I want Herbert over Allen if I was to build a team today.
And if you're going like you were saying for the future, I think Herbert's a great pick. I also think Jalen Hurts is a great pick if you're going on future. I'm just talking. I guess when I look at this list, I think of more like I just need a sample size. I need to see
I get
what
that
is
you want
proven.
longevity.
Yeah, the
I
longevity.
mean, we are
it's not,
talking.
it's not even taking anything away from Hurts being so young or Herbert being young as well. It's just like I guess I just need to see it a little more. I don't know.
I mean, we're
Because
also piecing together a ranking of the top 15% of the starters in the league. Like, so
Yeah.
these are the quarterbacks that are the top 32 starting quarterbacks, and then on top of that, these are the top 5, which would be the top 30, like top 50 or 16 point something percentage. So I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
these guys are great players. It's not like we're saying that
for sure.
Allen is booty cheeks and Hurts is bad. It's not like that
Yeah.
at all.
We're
It's
splitting hairs. We're
You
splitting
still
hairs.
make the top
yeah.
5. Like,
If you're
yeah,
a top
come on.
5 quarterback in the NFL, you're a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
Andrew, what you got as your number 4?
I have got Josh Allen for my number 4. I feel like he had turnover issues this year, and I feel like that's what kind of kept him out of the top 3 for me. But if he can capitalize on those and make some adjustments there and not have so many turnovers throughout the year and get a little bit further in the playoffs, for me, that take him to that top 3 spot.
yeah, Josh Allen. The thing about Josh Allen is he'll make a throw that just is otherworldly and make you think he's an alien. But the reason that he does that is because he does take risks. He's got that Brett Favre in him, where he's just gonna chuck it, and if it gets picked, it gets picked. But when it doesn't, it's gonna make SportsCenter. So
Yeah.
I mean,
He's also got a really bad offensive line. Like his offensive line
is not great.
Yeah.
But he makes plays with his feet. He makes plays with his arm. I mean, he's outstanding. He's talented. He's the cover of Madden this year. I like Josh Allen. He's a great dude.
Yeah, he's
But not taking anything away from him. I hope he has a great year. Like the Bills. I have no hate for the Bills. But I'm sure that their fans are hoping that he can protect that ball a little bit. That brings us to 3, and on my list I have 2B. I have 2A and 2B. 2B for me is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is an absolutely outstanding talent. He was really close to making it to another Super Bowl. I was hoping he would make it to another Super Bowl. He's another guy who has a little bit of a setback in his offensive line because they're not very good. They did go out and get Orlando Brown Jr., which is certainly going to help that offensive line. I like Joe Burrow a lot. I think he's great. He beat Josh Allen. He deserves to be above Josh Allen on this list.
He's also got great weapons. You could argue the best weapons in the whole NFL.
He has great weapons.
Mm-hmm.
But he keeps a cool demeanor. I mean, who didn't? Like you said, doing the decision, we all loved Joe Burrow when he was at LSU.
Who doesn't love Joe Burrow? How can you not love Joe Burrow?
Yeah, the only reason that you don't like Joe Burrow is you're afraid that your lady is going to leave you for him. Like
that would be fine by me. If that's who she wants to leave me for, I'm honored.
So
small bros.
Big Joe Burrow guy, and you can see where this list is going. I'm not going to reveal it, but a little homer bias. But and I'll talk a little bit more about that in my next point when we get to it. But Joe Burrow is 2B on my list because I didn't feel right putting him at 3. But
I'm just going to say this, and maybe I'll spark some controversy now that we're talking more NFL football. Number 1 and number 2 are way above anybody else, in my opinion. I mean, miles above anybody else, in my opinion. So, like, those 2 guys, and we know who they're going to be, are just the future of the NFL. And I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts cannot be that. But as of right now, I mean, Burrow and Mahomes are just dogs, man. I mean,
okay. Answer me this: what has Burrow done that Hurts hasn't?
I've just seen more out of him. Like, okay, so you talk about the offensive line. The Eagles have one of the best, if not the best, offensive line in the entire NFL. So they give Jalen Hurts the time. He's got a little more mobility, which I appreciate. I love a mobile quarterback. But Joe Burrow doing what he does with us 4 as his offensive line is just unreal. I mean, it's unreal. And let's be honest. If he had a better offensive line, they would have beat the Rams in that Super Bowl. He would have the Super Bowl ring. 100%, no question about it.
And if Eli Apple could have not gotten turned into burnt toast, because it's not like he didn't
Yeah.
fall out.
Very true. Very true.
But I mean, if you look at their Super Bowl performances, I'll get to it. Continue. Who's your number 3?
No, I mean, I just think that, like, when I watch, anyways, yeah, we'll get there. My number 3 is Josh Allen. It's just, I have Josh Allen there because of his straight up abilities. I think he kind of gets in his own head when we talk about turnovers, taking chances, doing all those things. I think that he just kind of gets in his own head in those sort of things, and he wants to make the big play. He's not willing to throw the ball out of bounds whenever he sees nobody open. He tries to squeeze it in between 3 defenders, and that's more of a mental thing. But when we talk about ability, there's only one quarterback in the NFL that has more ability, in my opinion, than Josh Allen, and obviously that's Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. But that's why I have Josh Allen at number 3. If he could get over that mental hurdle, he's the only one on this list, in my opinion, that can really, really compete with Mahomes.
Yeah, as far as like just arm
ability,
talent.
straight up talent, ability, size, all of that.
I'm just looking at Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow's postseason statistics and just seeing how really actually similar they were.
Cincinnati Bengals. Like, he's taken the Bengals from trash to everybody talks about the Bengals being one of the best teams in the NFL. I mean, the Eagles, let's just call it what it is. The Eagles know how to build a very, very, very good roster. Very good weapons, very good offensive line, very good coaching, very good defense. The Bengals, they don't do that.
So
the reason
also,
they're so good is because of Joe Burrow, and that's the only reason.
You also have.
I mean, okay, the receivers, but somebody's got to throw to those receivers.
That's what I was going to say. Joe Burrow has had 3 years.
Great receivers, but Dak can't get the ball to them.
That's Dak Prescott.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I'm not even going to touch that.
Well, you look at the Cowboys roster versus the Bengals roster. I like the Cowboys roster better, besides one guy, Joe Burrow. I mean, the receiving core, but defense, offensive line, even running back, I'd rather have Pollard than Mixon. Everything else, I'd rather go Dallas. But it's just that guy behind center.
I understand that. The receiving core is a huge part of it, but
I'm not saying that Hurts isn't going to get up there with those two. I'm just saying right now. That's all I'm saying.
And I think those two are interchangeable. I think that when you said that there's like an upper echelon of the one, I think you're right. I don't think the 2 is that far away. I think the 2-3 here in mine, which my 3 will be Joe Burrow, and I think my 2-3 are so close because their statistics are actually so close. I mean, they both kind of missed out on their first year because of the fact that Joe went out there and got his knee annihilated and turned into putty. Yeah. And then Jalen had to watch Carson Wentz turn into putty, and so it was like a 1-for-1 kind of deal. And you then immediately throw Joe Burrow into a situation where he has Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and you just like
and Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd's
solid.
I am hating. No hate on Tyler Boyd, but Tyler Boyd is a meme amongst one of my fantasy groups. So I love just that name coming up is hilarious, and you kind of had an offense that's already into a throwing mood. Like that's their situation when the Eagles' offense is a run first offense. So Joe Burrow over his career has, I think it's 2,200 and something more yards than Jalen has in his career. Technically, both have played the same amount of years.
Yeah.
But you also, his first year, he was throwing to Jalen Reagor. Why can't I think? Travis Fulgham. Oh my God,
but
Travis
still, here's
Fulgham.
The thing: is like when you look at the Eagles, they won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles. Man, they made Carson Wentz. If we had this conversation in Carson Wentz's MVP season, you all would probably put him at number 2. All I'm saying, I'm not saying that Jalen.
I don't know if I would.
Hold on.
I was never the biggest on the old.
James was.
I
but
was.
He was. He'll say
I was.
He'll admit it. But it's a system. It's not that he's a system quarterback. I'm not Micah Parsoning this. Like, I'm not doing that. He's a fantastic quarterback, and honestly, he's on track to be a Hall of Fame quarterback if he keeps doing what he's doing. But man, the Eagles just know how to pump him out, man. They just put a great roster on there.
If we were making a top 5 of GMs in the league, Howie would be number 1, and if he
absolutely,
wasn't,
that's what I'm saying. That's what
I agree.
And they
I
build a
agree
great
with that.
coaching staff, have a great game plan, and that's just, and when you look
All
at
right.
Cincinnati, they're the opposite.
That's true. That's true. I mean, they just gave him 2 really good pieces with wide receiver, and
Sure,
that's
of
where
course.
I'm going to say.
Of course.
And he's had that for 2 years when Jalen has only had that for 1.
Sure.
So that's where I'm saying that 2,000-yard gap, 1,000 yards a season, when you also are putting up 1,100 yards of rushing.
Yeah.
So it kind of, that's where I kind of put that line. And that's why I'm having Joe there, is because he doesn't add that versatility of the rush. After the knee imploded, you watch Joe Burrow leave the pocket, and his first sideline is sideline. Where the heck is the sideline?
Would you not do the same thing if you had his offensive line?
Oh, for sure.
Business. 1,000%. No, I'm not saying that I wouldn't be running for the sideline too, but
I'd snap the ball and be like freaking out. Like,
it's I don't need the other knee to implode. No,
Yeah,
I have
exactly.
one good knee, and I need to use this for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
So I understand where that is, but he doesn't add that versatility. And I have those two, like,
yeah.
so I'm arguing with you on this, but they're like,
I mean, honestly,
Two
this
ways
this is one of those things we can debate, but it's not going to get heated because agree to disagree. Because I could
Yeah.
see
They're both-
if we do this same thing this time next year, I would not be surprised if I had Jalen Hurts from number 4 to number 2. I don't think he'll get to number 1. I wouldn't be surprised if he was my number 2 next year. I just need to see a little more, and I need to see that it's really him and not the system. Again, not a system quarterback. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, we saw
What if-
that whenever
what if it
Gardner
comes
Minshew
out-
filled the bed full against the Saints.
Gardner Minshew also tore the Cowboys defense apart. So
Yeah.
but then the Eagles defense pooped the bed.
they
So,
were-
yeah.
Andrew,
Joe,
sorry. Go ahead. Andrew.
I
got Joe Burrow. Joe
You
Burrow's
guys-
3. Take it away, Andrew.
No, you guys had me dialed in. I was doing this the whole time. I was like, well, Jordan's got a point. Well, now Austin's got a point.
We all have great points. I mean, it is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this one's really hard for me. I think I have to agree with Jordan though. I think I've got Jalen as number 3. I wanted to put him 2 after the Super Bowl, but I mean, Joe Burrow's my favorite quarterback in the league, so there's a little bias there. So, but
I think everybody's got bias and anti-bias to their conversation. Let's just be honest.
yeah. But yeah, you made some really good points, and I think if Hurts can go out there another year and do what he did last year, I mean, I don't see any reason he's not number 2 or number 1. I mean, depending on how the other guys perform. I mean, you don't know.
Injuries could
That'll
be
be
a thing.
tough. Yeah, injuries could be a thing. I mean, yeah.
Jackson Mahomes gets arrested. They do an investigation. You find out there's a drug ring been running out of the Mahomes basement for the last 4 years. Patrick goes to jail. Jalen hospital.
Hold on.
There you go.
Let me stretch because that's a stretch, brother. Like that's a big
It's a
stretch.
Possibility.
Well, I've already shown my hand here. Yeah, 2A for me is Jalen Hurts. And like I said, it's the last 2 quarterbacks to have lost in the Super Bowl. Jalen had arguably the best performance by a quarterback in a Super Bowl, win or lose, on the ground and through the air. 3 rushing touchdowns, 300 yards through the air. I mean, absolutely. And of course, there is bias that comes with this. And I see what Jordan's saying is we've only seen this for 1 year with Jalen, and we've seen it with 2 with Burrow. But like Austin said, and you brought up exactly what I was going to say too, is he got his knee exploded.
Mm-hmm.
He comes back the second year. They have Jamar Chase. They have that chemistry that they had in college. He has T. Higgins. He has Tyler Boyd. He has Joe Mixon. That same year, Jalen has Smitty, who, broke the rookie receiving record. But then who else is he throwing to? Greg Ward. I mean, like, who else is nothing?
Greg
Of course.
Stan. We are Greg Ward Stan accounts, though. We will admit we do love our Greg Ward.
But like one of our better receivers on that team, a guy that you could count on right after Smitty, was a guy who played quarterback in college. So like, I agree. I understand where Jordan's coming from. You're going into this second year with Smitty and with AJ Brown. We've got DeAndre Swift now. We've got Dallas Goedert. He's a dog.
We'll have all the weapons in the world.
We have weapons. We have a great offensive line. But, I mean, you can't – that's a tough argument to make because, yeah, Patrick Mahomes does crazy stuff, but his offensive line is great too.
he doesn't have the great weapons. The main thing that I would
He's got
differentiate,
Travis Kelce.
of course, the main thing I would differentiate between Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow is the offensive line.
I
Like
get that.
Joe Burrow has a historically awful offensive line, or has. Maybe it'll be better this year. But I mean, it's just what he's doing with that offensive line is unreal.
I agree. I can't disagree with you there, but I feel like what takes it over the top for me is Jalen can also gas you for 100 yards on the ground. If you are in 3rd and 1, it's going to be a first down because he squats 600 pounds and he's just going to get
he's
behind
absolute beast. Absolutely.
That is why he goes to 2, because I can guarantee Joe Burrow's knee cannot squat over 300 pounds.
Yeah, so, I hope that at the end of this year we're looking back on it and we're like, okay, Jalen has made his statement here. I believe in the guy. He's a great leader. He's charismatic. He's a guy you want in your locker room. Super happy that we extended him, and I love him. Obviously, yeah. I'm going to be but I liked the guy when he was at Alabama. I didn't even want to root against him.
No, don't get me wrong. So, I, as a Cowboys fan, I love Jalen Hurts. I've told you that before, James. I really do.
Yeah.
Maybe he's at number 4 on my list because of a little bit of jealousy. Let's just call it what it is. Our quarterback kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Obviously, my number 2 is literally the coolest guy in all of the NFL. It's Joe Burrow. Like, I don't think, in my opinion, right now, when I look at a quarterback that I want to build a team around, Joe Burrow might be number 1 for me. And it's just, he's so cool under pressure. He's so, again, we talk about the offensive line. He's always under pressure and he always makes the right decision. That's why he's number 2 for me, because he's just the coolest guy. I mean, seriously, every decision is the best decision. And yes, he has weapons. And I can't wait. I hope his offensive line is good, because if his offensive line is good this year, I think that he has a very, very good chance of jumping to number 1 for me.
Which no hate to Joe Burrow whatsoever. The guy is incredible. And also, I just watched an interview from was it into his 2nd year yet? And he was still living with his parents in the basement, splitting a phone bill. That's so boss. That's so cool. I don't know why I think that's so cool. He's just still chilling, and then he was like, "Yeah, the whole room is set up." Oh, was it Transformers or what was it? It was the sheets were something. He's like, no, I got upgraded to a queen bed. No, he's still in his childhood bedroom. That's amazing. I love that out of him. But number 2, Jalen Hurts. I already kind of showed my hand. It's just the way it is. It's bias. It's not. It's talent. You don't have a quarterback that in there other than Lamar that has that dangerous aspect when the pocket collapses. There's no one that's run. I mean, okay, technically Justin Fields, but Justin Fields doesn't have the quarterbacking ability to back it up. Yeah. So it's just the mindset, the IQ. You see him immediately know exactly what the right read is on a read option. I wouldn't be able to break that down to 0.5 seconds as the linebacker's coming off the edge. Absolutely not. And he's just calm and cool, dump it down. Yeah. And you're just oh, that's sick. I love that. So I would build my team around him. I'd build my team around Joe Burrow. I'd build it around Mahomes with Ben.
We'd all be lucky to do that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Anybody out of my top 5, I'd build a team around. So
for sure.
I want to specify that I think that you all having Hurts at 2 is sort of homerism, but I understand where it's coming from. 100%. Every point that is made, I get it. And dude, the one thing that's about him, and I think Joe Burrow is the same way, is his work ethic is unmatchable. It's unbelievable. Dude puts in work. So that's something I like a lot about Jalen Hurts too.
Which, if it also might just be we watch every snap. We watch every snap.
And you had to deal with Carson Wentz, and you're like, this guy compared to Carson Wentz.
The confidence change. It just.
We talked about that. We talked about that last year. When we were, I don't know, I think it was the NFC Championship game, and they zoomed in on Jalen's face, and I was like, "Do you remember when they used to zoom in on Carson's face?" And he was like,
"Fear."
Jalen's just He's just
And-
chilling, dude.
He knows he's
And
got
he's
it.
the same
So cool.
same mood. It doesn't matter if they're up by 30 or they're trying to come back. Like you're watching AJ Brown and Devontae Smith do a little jig on the sideline, like tap their boots together, and you see Jalen in the background just staring down.
Locked in.
We're like 24. Like, why are you that dialed in? Like,
Could you not
calm.
say? Could you not say the same thing about Joe Burrow? Because I think they're both
I
like
did-
that. I think they're both
Joe
like that.
Burrow's
yeah,
a
they're
little
both,
bit.
like,
Joe
locked in.
Burrow, he shows a little bit more.
He's a
Just
little
a
more
little bit more.
showman.
But,
He has
like,
more
if you-
showmanship. Yeah.
If you were to mic them both up, you'll have Jalen like job's not finished, but then you'll have Joe Burrow who'll come over to the sideline when he's beating the Bills and say I'm him. So,
How much money would you pay to party with Joe Burrow though?
An obscene amount of money.
He's actually coming down. It's his private jet. We're taking down to Atlanta.
Oh
so-
man!
That's wild. All right, go ahead, Andrew. We know where you're going.
Yeah, I've got Joe Burrow at number 2. Jordan made all the perfect points. He's cool under pressure. If he can get a line and get some time, I mean, it's going to be scary to see what he could do. Not having to make that last second decision. If he can get like some actual time to really plan something out. I've got him at 2 just because of who's at number 1. I mean, I don't think anybody can argue that at this point.
No.
He's just been too good for too long, and it's
Yeah.
kind of getting old for me, but
Yeah, I'm with you.
It's certainly
Yeah.
Dak Prescott. So
Yeah.
I know we can all agree.
there
No,
you
well,
have it.
don't do that. So there's really no reason to waste any time talking about this last one. It's Patrick Mahomes. He's from a different planet. He's just ridiculous. He does things that people shouldn't be able to do. There's no need to go into deep dive details. The proof is in the pudding. Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback in the NFL, and anybody who says any different is wrong.
So
I thought I had Chris Sims.
Ryan Fitzpatrick. No, kind of leading into our next subject, James. This is kind of sort of a hot take, or could this really happen? Is Patrick Mahomes? Could you all see him being the GOAT at the end of his career? Because I could. Is that a hot take, or do you think that's realistic?
It'll depend on what the team does around him because Kelsey's not. I don't know that Kelsey's going to be around long enough for him to reach Brady's. He's not going to get 7 rings.
It's
don't know.
possible. I mean,
It is, but Kelsey. They would have to win. Kelsey's getting old.
oh, of
Does
course.
Kelsey, yeah,
But
that-
Mahomes can still do those things, I think, without Kelsey. I mean, it's not going to be to the same level, but
But
Yeah.
Brady always had Gronk. Always.
not always.
Very
Not always.
Well-
no, yeah.
At the beginning, he didn't.
But a good portion.
I mean, yeah, he won over
Yeah.
probably. I mean, over half of his Super Bowls with him. But I mean, he didn't always have them. His first Super Bowl, he beat the Rams, the greatest show on turf, and nobody thought they were going to win that.
Mhm.
So I don't know. That's and Gronk. Gronk comes into the league after Brady, and Brady has him for a good chunk of his career versus Kelsey being with Kansas City before and
Mhm.
getting up there in age. So,
I just think that the same conversations were made
It's
whenever Tyreek
possible.
Hill went to Miami. And so when he went to Miami, everybody's saying, oh, Patrick Mahomes lost a huge weapon. And he's just like, yeah, you got a bunch of no-name receivers. It doesn't matter. I'm still Patrick Mahomes. And he just had one of the best seasons that he's ever had. So
you could flip that argument and say that if he can continue to do it after Kelsey retires, and if he gets close to 7, yes, then he could
Yeah.
definitely be the GOAT.
yeah.
So let's go ahead and move on. Let's move on to our next segment. Quick fire here. Calling this segment "Good Take, Bad Take." I'm going to give you all a take. You're going to tell me what you think about it. Okay. Number 1. Aaron Donald did not deserve to be a 99 on this year's Madden. Good take, bad take. Jordan.
Good take. Good take. Aaron
Good take.
Donald. Aaron Donald is starting
Okay.
to. You're seeing a little decline in Aaron Donald in my mind, and it could be because of the secondary that the Rams have because they don't really have anything going on back there anymore. In my mind, I mean their defense sucks, and Aaron Donald's pretty much one of the only forces on their defense. I don't think he deserved to be a 99 this year. He considered retiring. I think he's starting to feel the effects of him aging a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
The
mid-90s.
man
He's
eats
still-
double teams most of the game. I mean, it's
For
taxing.
sure. He's incredibly, I mean, don't get me wrong, one of the best, if not the best defensive tackle of all time. But there's always a decline in a career, and I think he's starting to hit his.
Yeah. Boston.
Yeah, good take. It's age. I don't think he deserved to even be ahead of some of the other younger ones that are ranked at 88 and 87 and 86 that are sitting there. So, I mean, there's a lot of guys with a lot more speed that I think he's getting added stats just because of the name. But it's all name bias. It's all it is with Madden. So, I mean, you're looking at why can't I think of one of the guys who got like an 86 that they were showing stats comparison to him. I can't remember who it was, but it was like, how do you rank somebody who's got better stats at an 86? Even Hassan Reddick had like outside stats. He got 90, like more speed. Like I would think that Hassan Reddick's going to outrun Aaron Donald all day of the week, but one's got a 99 speed, and one's got a 93. So I mean, what do you do there?
I agree. I looked it up, and apparently this is his 7th time in his career that he's made the 99 club. And
and I would say every other time was deserved.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, but I think he's what, 32, 33 now?
Yeah.
I don't think you can put him at a 99 at this point. I mean,
like Austin said, it's name. It's his name.
Yeah. He missed 6 games for injury last year.
Yeah.
And Myles Garrett had better stats last year than he did the year before, and they had him at 99 on last year's game, but they put him at a 98 this year. So that doesn't make any sense. I mean, I know he plays for the Browns, but he's still good. So
he also
bashed the
guy's head in once.
Do what?
He also bashed the guy's head in once.
That did happen.
He did.
Number 2, this will be interesting. The Celtics now have the best roster top to bottom in the East with the addition of Kristaps Porzingis.
I think that they had the best roster. Well, okay, so they got rid of Marcus Smart, so
yes,
that kind of declines it a little bit. We really need to see what happens with James Harden.
And Damian Lillard.
I still like Milwaukee. I'm going to say bad take because I still like Milwaukee's roster. They have a very deep roster. And then you look at the top of it with Chris Middleton and Giannis. I mean, Chris Middleton on just about any other team would be a superstar. And he is, but he's outshined by Giannis, of course. So I would rather have the Bucks roster than theirs, but it's close. So I'm not going to say good or bad take. I'm going to say right in the middle. Meh take. You know? Yeah. I'd say they're top 2. That'd be my thing.
I'm going to say bad take, but I just think it's because I think you can't put Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and Boston that far apart. I think that they're all pretty solid rosters through and through, and I feel like you kind of have a situation where you can keep adding talent to all of these rosters, but I feel like they're all at that same level where it just kind of peaks out. You only can have 5 guys on the court, and only 1 guy can have the ball. So
yeah.
And we kind of have to wait to see what happens with Damian Lillard, because if he goes to Miami, we might be having a different conversation.
Well, that's true, but also we're talking top to bottom, and who knows what they have to give up at that point.
Right, exactly.
So, Andrew?
I just hate the Celtics. I
do too.
Okay, we allow bias in this podcast.
Bad take. I can't do it. I can't give it to them. Screw those guys. Bad take.
The only reason I put this is because I heard this on ESPN radio, and I wanted to get that on here. I actually wrote this down like a week ago because I wanted us to discuss this. I would agree with you guys.
It's a good conversation to have.
So this one might be a little bit more split. Maybe not. I don't know. Number 3, though, is teams that aren't the Heat should avoid trading for Damian Lillard after his agent said they would be getting an unhappy player.
I mean, I think that's a good take. If he wants to play in Miami, then I don't think that you really want to try to go and trade for somebody who doesn't want to be there. And so if he said specifically, I want to be in Miami, then I'm not going out and trading my future away for somebody who could be wishy-washy and overhype an injury and miss more time than what they should. And you just don't know what you're going to get with Damian Lillard. I mean, honestly, Dame's a great player, but all he talked about like his entire career is just being real with Portland and staying with Portland. Then all of a sudden he's just like, I want to go to Miami. And that's it.
Yeah.
I want to go to Miami. I just don't like that about the way that he's handled that. So that's a huge red flag for me when it comes to trying to trade for Dame. And so if I'm any other team, I'm just saying like, okay, he wants to go to Miami. I'm keeping my hands off of that. Like I'm not going near that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's a good take. You want the player to have the drive and like want to be with your squad. So that definitely makes sense. Exactly what Jordan's saying. It's just, yeah, you don't want to add cancer to your lineup. Like you don't want to add that like touch to it where you're now going to have a problem like a Ben Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're not going to want that kind of thing lurking around your bench and just causes it splits everybody up. So
yeah. And you know what Portland's asking for him. So, I mean, you're risking your entire future for a guy that may not even give 100% on the floor.
Yeah.
So,
Andrew?
I think it's a good take. I think chemistry, I mean, it's a team game when it comes down to it. Like, yeah, you can have players that take over the game like he does. But when it comes down to it, it's a team game. There's only been one or two people, in my mind, that have carried to the finals, which is the ultimate goal. Dirk and Giannis.
Jimmy Butler this year. They didn't win it, but he carried them to it.
Yeah.
I mean, no, you can't really say that for Jokic. I guess Murray was pretty dang good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was. But yeah, I think it's a good take. I don't want an unhappy player, so.
Let me tell you why I don't agree with you guys. Do you think that Kawhi Leonard wanted to play for the Toronto Raptors?
Fair.
No.
No.
Let me answer that question for you. No, he did not. He wanted to be in LA. He's from LA. He wanted to be in LA. I don't think Damian Lillard is the kind of guy who will come in and he might be pissed. I don't think he's the kind of guy who's going to half perform. He's not going to be half-hearted in his performance. I think that he'll come in and try to perform. He has 2 years left on his contract. Okay? If you are a team who has a very short championship window, but you think you can go out and you can acquire Damian Lillard and he can get you past that point, I think it's worth it. Obviously, I know that Kawhi Leonard is a different animal because he's not a guy who's going to come out and be quite as vocal. I completely understand that. But he's also really, really odd, and we've seen that he likes to shut it down. And Dame might come into a situation and start to win and be like, okay, this isn't so bad. I think that if you're a team that thinks that you're close, that it's worth it. I completely get where you all are coming from.
Here's my question. And I understand what you're saying. But I think the biggest difference is when I look at Kawhi Leonard, I see Kawhi Leonard's a winner. I haven't seen that from Damian Lillard. I just haven't seen it. Kawhi Leonard with San Antonio, he was just a winner. Like he just won games.
Well,
when it came down to it.
But who did he play with?
I mean, I understand, but also Damian Lillard had C.J. McCollum with him as well, and they were still
C.J. McCollum's
Ginobili, Duncan, and Parker, though.
No, I get it, but I mean, also you look at that Raptors team, and yeah, they had Pascal Siakam, and I mean, it was a decent team, but it wasn't like a great. Kawhi carried them through the playoffs. I think, and I understand what you're saying, and I see that as like a team that maybe you feel like you're right there and you're willing to risk your future for a chance. Okay, that's fine. But like Kawhi Leonard is just like a generational winner in my mind. Like when he went to Toronto in that playoff run, like he just took over.
Oh, he did. Yeah,
And
100%.
I don't know if Dame is quite that level that Kawhi is.
Right, but if you're a team so I guess my argument to that would be if you're a team that thinks you're close already, Toronto was not close. Toronto was getting pooped on by LeBron every year. Now, granted, he moved out west. They needed a guy like that to make them relevant. But if you're a team that thinks that you could make a run, if you're a team that was just on the outside, or you
maybe like
feel like
the Knicks, the Cavs,
maybe, yeah, who knows? So like even the Sixers, I don't know. I've heard that Tyrese Maxey. I don't want to give up Tyrese Maxey because
I don't know if I'd do that. Yeah,
but like I could see why I would not be happy with it. But like if I'm a GM and I think that he can come in and give me a chance to win a ring, and even if he wants to leave in 2 years, if I get a ring out of it,
I respect it. I mean, I understand. I get where you're coming from. I do.
Yeah.
I do.
It's yeah. You all made it very black and white, all agreeing, and I just wanted to play
No,
devil's
no,
advocate.
I respect the argument. I think the comparison to Kawhi is a little off just because they're completely different types of players.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
That's why I just
Yeah.
wanted to provide context there.
Yeah.
But it's just like, the Raptors knew he wasn't going to come back after that year, but they were willing to give it a shot.
The ultimate W was the Toronto Raptors picking up Kawhi for 1 year, going on winning the NBA title, and then he just leaves.
And he dipped, yeah.
Yeah.
So number 4, DeAndre Hopkins makes the Titans a serious contender in the AFC South.
No. Who the hell is throwing to DeAndre Hopkins? Will Levis? Come on, dude. This is not a bad take. This is a take that I can't say words on this podcast about how bad it is. No. DeAndre Hopkins is not a game changer because you can't throw him screen passes because that's pretty much all the times you're going to be able to do. Their offensive line, trash. Their quarterbacks, trash. Derrick Henry is all they have going for them. Their defense is okay. But, I mean, what are you going to do? Throw screen passes to a 32, 33-year-old DeAndre Hopkins who's been a little bit injury-prone here lately? No. I mean, the AFC South is, in my mind, locked up for the Jags. And the only team that can contend with them is the Colts, and that's if Anthony Richardson really, balls out like he might be able to do.
Also, so let's just take our time here to just LOL at the Titans for paying a receiver who is much older than the guy they let go last year. Thanks, Titans.
Also, at this point, much worse than the guy they let go.
The best part about it, like you could have literally just paid AJ Brown, but nope. Now you're trading you're paying a guy to come in who's literally 8 years old, or 7 years older.
He's like 33.
I think he's like 7 years older than. That's disgusting.
AJ's like 25.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, and now you got mayonnaise boy throwing to steroids boy. It's just. It's just not going to end well. It's
I bet Will Levis was happy with it. I mean, he's like, well, at least I have somebody to throw to now.
And then he looks at his offensive line. He's like, oh.
I better get the ball out quick. Yeah. Andrew?
I agree with Jordan. No.
I put this on just because I thought that it would be funny to discuss. I agree with Jordan. I think the only team that has a shot to compete with the Jags is the Colts if Anthony Richardson can be Jalen Hurts light. He doesn't have to be. He can be 60% the player that Jalen Hurts is and contend in that division because
the
division's the Jags.
Trash. And they have a lot of skill. They have the Colts have a good defense. They have a good offensive line. They have decent receivers. They have Jonathan Taylor. They have a good team.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I think the Jags will be pretty solid next year.
No, I think that's what
we're saying. That's who they're competing with
by far, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, we're saying the team that's going to compete with them the best would be the Colts, not the Titans.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Number 5, and this is my last good take, bad take. Shohei Ohtani is worth mortgaging the future for a contending team despite his impending free agency. Yeah, some thinking.
Bad take. So, hold on. Before I say this, you're saying at the trade deadline, with no guarantee he's going to re-sign.
Correct.
Okay, bad take. I don't think that unless you know he's going to re-sign, I don't think he'd make the move. A contending team, can he make the difference to win a World Series? Maybe. But if you know he's going to re-sign, he could give you the chance of winning maybe 2 World Series in 6 years. And that's obviously really, really good. I think at this point, if you're like, say, the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Yankees are in last in their division, so maybe we shouldn't say them, but the Dodgers, the Rays, whoever's right there, I just don't think it's worth it. You don't mortgage everything. These teams that are always up there, the Braves, the Dodgers, all these teams are just, they build through their farm system. You see that a lot. I don't think you can mortgage all that for half a season when baseball is so volatile that in the playoffs, you could just lose a series. You could just lose it. Ohtani could get a little cold, and he's only going to pitch. He's going to pitch great, but he's only going to pitch 1, maybe 2 games a series. So I don't think it's worth mortgaging it unless you're sure that you can re-sign him in the offseason.
Yeah.
I mean, Milwaukee has a great Japanese culture, and you can definitely come to. No. It's a bad take. I would not. I know we have 5 prospects in the top 25. The Brewers do coming up. I don't think it's worth even sending 3 of those away, and I know it would take all 5. So it's just like it's not worth losing what you have coming up to have a shot at it. This is the CC Sabathia situation all over again if Milwaukee was to do it here. And just to put that into another team, you get all the way into the NLCS and then you lose to Philadelphia and you just whoop. Then what happens? And then goes to the Yankees and gets paid $1 bajillion. So
Right.
it's
Okay.
It's not
So
worth
the only thing I would say about that is Milwaukee should not.
no,
Because
absolutely not. No
the
team should.
market, they don't have the market to even have a snowball's chance to sign him next year.
Right.
I'm thinking like a big market team to maybe go
Dodgers,
out.
Mets, Yankees.
Well, the Mets are terrible. We should mortgage the future. But Andrew, I know you don't really baseball, but
Jordan says bad. I say bad.
no.
No,
I mean, I think it's good and bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough to really have an input here, but I have seen his name pop up several times over the last couple of weeks. So
He might be, guys. I know that this, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. This guy might be the greatest baseball player to ever walk the face of the planet.
I think you're 100% spot on.
You're
talking a top 5 hitter in baseball and a top 5 pitcher in baseball. It's the same person.
Wow.
Is it worth risking your future for? I mean, say you have a 50-50 chance of signing him for the next year. If that's the chance that you have, it might be worth it. Honestly, it might be worth it.
He's just unreal. He's good for baseball. I want to see him in a market where he can contend because, he's out there just dragging the corpse of this Angels team along. Trout's hurt, Rendon's hurt. They don't have hardly anything else. This guy's leading the league in home runs and triples and is an ace on the pitching mound.
Mm-hmm.
He's
over 100. It was over 100.
He's over 100. And he's leading the league in home runs and triples.
He hit a bomb to 490, and he steps on the mound and throws for 100.
I think at this point right now, like he's already top 10 MLB history, like right now.
I mean, he's unreal. I hope that he needs to get him a couple of rings just so nobody has any arguments against him. But the dude is he's unreal. And people gassed him up when he came into the league, how good he was going to be. And he has completely overshot those expectations.
Yeah.
So, I mean, props to him. I hope he goes to a winning team eventually and gets a ring. Do what?
Future Dodger.
Dodger.
Right next to Francisco Lindor.
Well, then we'd be having a conversation. But that first little part took longer than I expected. But, that's what you expect whenever you haven't been together in a while. So, good little debate there. We will come back from our break. Before we come back from our break, though, we actually met, like I said, a couple weeks ago, and Jordan eliminated a team already. So I'm going to ask our boy Jared to drop that clip right here at this break, and then we'll pick right back up, and Jordan will be eliminating not 1 but 2 more teams today. All right, welcome back. We'll throw it over here to Jordan. He'll give us a quick recap of last week, his teams, who he eliminated, and then he'll tell us who his bottom 3 are this week, and we'll discuss.
Okay, so just to run back through the list, the original 10, USC, Virginia Tech, Georgia, Arkansas, Texas, LSU, Miami, Auburn, Tennessee, and Austin's Wisconsin. Last week on the chopping block was Virginia Tech, Auburn, and Arkansas. And I think Andrew voted for Arkansas, but the other 2 fellas voted for Virginia Tech, so Virginia Tech kicked the bucket. So we're gonna keep those 2 teams that were on there last week on there, and we're just gonna add a new one onto the elimination list. And I want you all to really debate this because this one's kind of tough for me. So it's Auburn, Arkansas, and USC.
Oh, wow. I did not see USC being in the bottom 3 this early.
Yeah,
I didn't either.
It's tough.
You know what? For me, just for excitement's sake, I say get rid of USC.
Dude, I was about to say the same thing. Just so we know it's gone.
because we have no idea what's going to happen if we cut USC here. No, I know that inevitably it comes down to you.
Right.
And you've got Arkansas sitting there.
Well,
and
here's my thing. Whoever you all pick, I'm eliminating down to the final 3 because I add them to the chopping block, which means I'm okay with them being eliminated.
Yeah.
That's all that means. So if that's the choice, then that's the choice. Because they're going to stay on that chopping block where they really make it to the top 3. That's another question.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, my vote's for USC, just for parity's sake.
Pros and cons of USC. You're not doing this for this season. So you don't have Caleb Williams in the season that they're going to have right now. You have what's coming in the oof.
Yeah.
That's a con. That's not a pro. Pros, colors.
He already has a ton of gear.
Already have gear.
But he's
They have-
looking for a refresh.
Yeah, and they have
And
a
a
rich
somewhat local team, too.
Right.
I mean, you want to go to a game every now and then. I mean, at least 1 or 2 games this
And that-
season.
Andrew, that right there is why they were on the list. I mean, that's what it comes down to with USC.
Yeah.
If they were closer, I think it'd be an obvious choice. Like they
Yeah.
would be my favorite team. Period. End of story. But I mean, they're in LA, so
Yeah. I mean, I think for that reason alone, I mean, even if you can't justify going to Arkansas for any other reason other than to watch a game, you could still go to a game a season.
Mhm.
You're not going to a game a season every season at USC. I mean, there's
I was planning a huge trip to Arkansas because I heard they have like one of the biggest Walmarts in the U.S. So that was the reason I was
That's where they're headquartered.
For some reason, I kind of think.
No.
Yeah, I kind of think that Austin really wants me to choose Arkansas. I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
could
I'm
be.
gonna take a trip.
Okay, so for me, looking at your 3 teams, obviously I've said that USC is my vote,
Mhm.
but I feel like there's less of an opportunity. Obviously, that Arkansas is going to make it to the final 3. Like,
Mhm.
I think that if USC sticks around for a while, like they could find their way in the final 3.
Yeah.
yeah.
Just because of familiarity and nostalgia and things like that. I'm not worried about Arkansas. I feel like they'll be eliminated in the next couple of weeks. And Auburn could be a sneaky team.
Yep.
They could be a sneaky team that make it. I wouldn't be super mad at that. It'd be something different.
Yeah.
But for me, I just think like the long-term implication of USC maybe, getting on a roll if we don't take them seriously.
You're saying
So-
this is a get out the Bucks early.
Early.
Get out that
Yeah,
one
first
seed
round of the
early.
playoffs.
Yeah.
Well,
So that you
you're
don't
not,
have to worry
you're not
long way.
specifically eliminating teams just because you feel like they might challenge the teams.
That's
you
what
want.
he's doing.
No,
I mean,
that's
not what it's about.
No. I'm not saying because they're a threat to Tennessee. I'm just saying, for me, I want to see something different.
You don't want to see me being a USC fan, is what you're saying.
Like if we do, basically what I'm saying, for content's sake, for this podcast's sake, if we're going to take the time to do this every week,
And I picked the same team.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not
Yeah.
saying because
yeah. Now I'm on board.
That makes sense.
at the end of the day, if you choose Tennessee, that'd be fantastic. But if you choose somebody different and we have a complete refresh and we're coming around in like a year and a half and you've got LSU colors on or Auburn colors on or, somebody wrote.
As long as you're not barking at people, I'm good.
As long
with
as
it.
it's not Georgia. I promise you, as soon as they find their way in the bottom 3.
Oh, I know. See, that's one of the reasons that they're not on the chopping block yet, because
they're
were
instant gone.
they were a team that I loved. So I really have to kind of think about it before I put them on the chopping block. Because once I do, they're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because me and Andrew are going to vote them off for sure.
Yeah.
So
See, I didn't have a negative. I was debating Arkansas or USC, but it wasn't even for that. It was the distance to travel. I was actually thinking of him, and you brought a good point though. And I'd rather see a clean refresh than just we're doing the same thing. He's worn USC clothes on this podcast here 3 times. 3 episodes he has worn that hoodie.
Yeah.
So you don't want. No, I want something new. USC. Locking in my vote. Say goodbye.
USC.
Trojans
All right.
down the toilet. Bye.
Well, USC will be the second team eliminated then, and next week we'll add another team to the chopping block. And I'm going to tell you what, putting USC on there was really, really hard.
I
I
bet it
have
was.
no clue who I'm putting on there next.
all right, welcome back. Big surprise the last time we met. in the decision. Jordan eliminating USC. He will, of course, be still cheering for them with Caleb Williams this year. But still, it's wide open now, eliminating the team that you are currently rooting for. So today you're putting 4 on the chopping block since you're eliminating 2 since we did not meet last week. So let's go ahead and hear the chopping block. Remind everybody who the other 2 were.
Okay, so already eliminated is Virginia Tech and USC, as we mentioned. The other 2 on the elimination list are Auburn and Arkansas. So we are adding 2 more, which will leave 4 safe. So we're really getting down to it, but I'm going to have help from you guys because we are eliminating 2, and if we have any overlap, I will kind of be the mediator. Oh, James is going to love this. We're throwing Georgia on the chopping block.
Let's go!
Here's the thing. All right, so in
No, they're
college,
gone.
I was a Georgia fan, and honestly, like I liked, and James can attest to this. I was a Georgia fan for probably 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, you loved Aaron Murray.
I had a lot of gear. I loved him. I just love the atmosphere, but it all falls back to the bandwagon thing, and I just can't do it. Also, I don't really like Kirby Smart. The fact that somebody like has to hold his belt like, on the sideline, it's a little weird to me. So George is going on the chopping block, and the other team on the chopping block, Austin, I love you, buddy. It is Wisconsin.
No, you can't
Wisconsin
do this to me.
going on the chopping block. So,
Oh, buddy.
sorry, man.
All right,
we have
so-
4 teams, and we're eliminating 2.
Let's
Auburn,
eliminate one. Let's eliminate the first
Arkansas.
one first. See you
Okay.
by Georgia. See you
Bye-bye, Georgia.
Austin,
All right,
you
that's-
agree with Georgia? You don't. It doesn't matter, but
You want to bark
Yeah,
for us?
all right. Georgia is gone, and can we just stop for a minute to realize that the underdog of the century, Arkansas, has made it this far?
Arkansas's in it, dude.
How is this happening? All
I
right,
think
so
it's
I think this is going to spark some debate. We have Auburn, Arkansas, Wisconsin. I do not want you all to follow each other's responses. Just go with your heart. What do you think? What could you see me being a fan of out of those 3, and which one you just don't see?
I can't see you being a fan of Arkansas. As we were just saying, it is the underdog, but like it's just Walmart world. That is what Arkansas is. So you don't need that in your life. You don't need that. You
Andrew,
love
go ahead and go. I'm going to save my opinion for last.
I'm gonna go the opposite approach right now. I could see you being an Auburn fan. I think Auburn is a historic school. They compete with Bama every year. They're a solid team every year in my mind. I'm always scared to play Auburn. Like I think they're always solid. I mean, it may be PTSD from me being an Oregon fan and running into Auburn, and I don't know what it is, but I could see you being an Auburn fan. I think they're safe for me, so I'm going that route with it.
So you're
So
not
you're-
eliminating one?
You're going to eliminate Arkansas or Wisconsin then?
I don't know. That I'm torn on. I don't know because Arkansas, they're both far away. I mean, I couldn't see you being a fan of either. I want to say
Wisconsin is way further away than Arkansas.
yeah, and I want to say Wisconsin
also
just
has-
to piss him off. 'Cause-
See, that's not doing it for the right reasons. Wouldn't it be entertaining if you have two Wisconsin guys, 2 Tennessee guys? That would be a freaking fun time.
You
Yeah,
know as
especially
well as
about
I
that.
do, if Tennessee was on here, you would be voting Tennessee right away.
Would not, because I wouldn't do that to you guys. So that's funny. That's funny. We see how things fly here.
Well, the weird thing about that is I don't want to put Wisconsin on the chopping block yet, because there is the appeal that Wisconsin has versus those other 2 teams is that if we did go to Wisconsin, we could go hang out with Austin.
Yeah.
The other 2 teams don't
That
have
is
that.
true.
It is the longest drive.
That is true.
It is the longest drive.
Hey, we could fly.
Yeah,
He's
but
got a
that's why
private
they
jet.
need
Well, that's
air-
the thing. So
All right, I
it's
changed my
interesting
answer.
that Andrew said that, because honestly, I was thinking Auburn. Auburn was kind of near the front of my mind. I know that Arkansas is the obvious choice here, but I don't know, like, if they ended up making a run here, like, you've rooted for some pretty random teams in the past, and like Austin originally said, Arkansas is not a team that anybody's going to accuse you of being a
Arkansas has been
bandwagon.
like right here for a while.
Yeah.
I mean,
And they have Sam Pittman, who's a great coach. They have KJ Jefferson. It's going to be interesting to see them compete in the new SEC. I don't think that they're going to make a run to the finals, but like they're intriguing to me. I would not want to root for a team that's coached by Hugh Freeze, though. I just
Kind of a scumbag.
he gives me the ick.
He's a
I just-
scumbag. Yes.
Yeah, I just like I love Luke Fickle. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I love Luke Fickle. I think it's hilarious. I hope that he shoves it up Ohio State's butt every chance he has the opportunity. They should have hired him before they hired Urban Meyer because he did a good job as their interim. I like Luke Fickle. And I like Sam Pittman. And coming down to me, I think the coach makes a difference here. Hugh Freeze could make them very good, or he could end them in Stantonville.
Yeah.
It's hard to root for a team where you don't like the guy leading the ship.
Right. And it also goes back. So we have Austin who wants Arkansas. We have Andrew who wants Wisconsin. We have you that wants Auburn. So it comes down to me.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird because when I made this list, the team that I'm about to say is probably a team that was top 3. And it was a team that but it all comes back to one thing. I root for Kentucky in college basketball, but I have to be able to root for this team in college basketball as well. And I hate Bruce Pearl. I hate him. I always have. Even when he was at Tennessee, I hated him. I think that Auburn does need to be eliminated at this point because I don't think that I could see myself rooting for them. I really don't. I mean, the biggest attraction to them is they're Alabama's biggest rival. I mean, you could argue Tennessee, but I think it's got to be Auburn.
Yeah. I don't want to do Austin dirty. I mean, Wisconsin stays on the chopping block for the foreseeable future. But I'm not ready. I'm not ready to chop them just yet.
Yeah, I don't want to do Austin dirty either. I mean, he's a good guy, and I'd love to go visit him. So I think I want to keep Wisconsin for a while.
Well, that's part of it too. Is if I go to a Wisconsin game, we're all going down there, with Austin. That'd be kind of sick.
Wow.
But okay, so we have 6 teams remaining, and the top 4. Next week is going to get really interesting because I have to put one of the top 4, and right now they're all neck and neck, which is Texas, LSU, Miami, and Tennessee. Those are the 4 that are safe right now. One of them is going on the chopping block with Arkansas and Wisconsin. I feel like next week might be bye-bye Arkansas.
It could very well be bye-bye Arkansas. Listen, the fact that they're still here.
Yeah, dude. They survived
story.
They survived USC. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And Georgia.
They did.
I think I voted for every single week, though. I wanted to cite that back. Every single time. It's these guys they jump on it. The elimination was, let's get them out of here. And then they were
I could have sent your team packing today, and I didn't.
I know, but you, Georgia comes in, get Georgia out of here.
Oh, I knew as soon as I put them on the chopping block, they were dead.
Yeah, I know.
Jordan knew that though. If he wanted them in the top 3, he would he
wouldn't have ever put them on the chopping block. Yeah,
I made that opinion clear a month ago. So
yeah, no,
yeah,
I figured you hate Georgia, other than the fact that they're the Philadelphia Southern campus.
I love them when they come play for us. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Hell
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jalen Carter looks skinny and like he's ready to wreck everybody. So,
yep, there you go. Good word choice.
Like Smitty, whenever he played at Bama, I was like, I hate Bama. God, he's got to be an Eagle. I'm watching Jalen Carter. I was like, please fall to us. Please. And it worked. So, I mean, yeah, there's that. Other than the fact that we love them, once they become pros, I'm fine. But so yeah, we sit with 6 teams left. Goodbye.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close, and when it gets down to the last 4 or 5, it's going to be
tough.
The big thing about today's decision too is you said that you're kind of leaning SEC, and we just eliminated 2 SEC schools.
We did. We still have one. We have 3 remaining. Arkansas holding strong, holding strong for the SEC. But I mean, honestly, I was between putting on the chopping block. I was between Wisconsin and Miami, and I don't have it in my heart to let Miami go to the chopping block yet. And I don't know. They might get there next week. I don't know. It's just kind of where my heart's going. I've always loved Miami. They might find themselves in the final 3. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
to help with the decision, every few days, I just remember I send the recruitment class amounts from 24/7. I just send that in the group chat. So just a reminder
that ranked ahead of Wisconsin. So, matter of fact, hold on. Let's have a live reaction.
it's 11. What is it? 12 and 7. So you have 12-4, 7-3.
Hold on.
We have 7-4, or 8-4. Can't
Mike
remember.
Matthews. Hey, listen, this is 3 minutes ago. Mike Matthews, a 5-star wide receiver out of Parkview High School in Lilburn, Georgia, committed to Tennessee 3 minutes ago. So you said 5 stars we could brag about?
Hold on though. If we're looking at recruiting, what do the classes look like for teams like Texas, LSU, Miami? I don't really want to say Arkansas because they're probably not up there. But
I mean, I'm sure they're good. It's just us two debating our two teams so
It's just having
Mike
fun back and
Matthews in
forth.
Tennessee Vol, baby. Woo! I knew he was committing today. So
I'm just gonna go scroll here. We'll go find out.
what are you finding out?
Where Texas and LSU are.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure LSU is pretty high up there. I don't know about Texas.
LSU is 13. Miami is 14. Tennessee is
Wow.
15. Arkansas is 17. In Wisconsin, Texas
but
21.
Tennessee was there before picking up this 5.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it's not on here yet. So they'll go all the way up to
Jump
probably
those teams here.
I'll go to 12. So yeah, this is all of the final teams are all in the top 21.
They're right on top of each other. That makes this
They're
exciting.
all like in the
Oh,
finals.
that's
too. It's
wild.
really
I'm going to be honest. This is where it gets exciting because let's be honest. I was never going to be a Virginia Tech fan. I was never going to be a USC fan. I was never going to be a Georgia fan. I was never going to be an Auburn fan. So this is where it gets exciting.
Definitely.
What the heck? I didn't know Arkansas was that high. They have 9 4-stars. Jesus.
Oh man, Arkansas is like climbing up my list. I might just take
Uh-oh.
one dropping block here in a minute.
You know, I wouldn't even be mad at you for being an Arkansas. I mean,
How
who's
could
an
you be?
Arkansas fan? I mean, there's a kid that plays on our football team who wears Arkansas stuff all the time, and I'm like, why? But like,
I just feel like you guys are just like, I can't eliminate Arkansas. It's
It's
just
like they're just silently weaseling their way in.
yeah.
We did eliminate the number 1. I don't know if you could see that. That was
yeah,
eliminated
they're
today.
number 1. Poop
Well,
on
I
them.
figured.
All right, well, that'll wrap up a much needed episode.
Yeah.
Guys, sorry it took us so long to get one. Hope that we still got some fans staying strong. Everybody's enjoying their summer as it starts to come to an end. I know not everybody has summers off like me, but hope you're still enjoying your summer. So, you know, if you're continuing to watch us, if you've been looking forward to an episode, we appreciate you. Continue to like and subscribe and share with your friends and all that good stuff. And Godspeed and go Bucks.
Peace.